Welcome back everybody. Now, in the last video, I decided to put my free will to the test and went off on a journey under the premise that I believed Serpent could solo all of Book 1 by himself. After many fights had taken place and many unique strategies were implemented, I soon realized that Serpent could take on a lot more than I would have ever expected. This concept naturally has a follow-up idea, and I'm willing to try it again. I believe that Serpent can solo all of Book 2 by himself. Book 2 encompasses what could be called the new age of quests, ranging from Act 7 all the way to the present day Act 9 and the most recent addition to the boss questline, Dread Emperor Doom. These Act bosses aren't to be taken lightly, and with the additional restrictions I've set in place, I'll need to be especially careful for some quests. The rules for this challenge are identical to those in Part 1. I will be taking every fight in the quest with only Serpent, but I will be giving myself the opportunity to use synergies. Pre-fights are allowed, but only as long as I don't need to enter a fight for them. For this challenge, everything must be done itemless. No potions, no revives, no boosts. Usually for each quest, I just place the act and quest number, but I'll also be giving the path I took as well. There are some paths which Serpent physically cannot do, not to mention the early Act 7 quest bosses depend on which path you take. I'm also going to preemptively apologise if some clips look a bit laggy or jittery. My recording software was having issues and I didn't catch it until a bit later on. Usually I would say Gwenmaster isn't a particularly difficult boss, especially when you're running the Juice path as I've done for this fight. However, you still need to stay alive for Juice to work, and well, I ended up cutting it pretty close. This was certainly not my cleanest fight. To put into perspective how badly I played and just how stupid Juiced is, I didn't even get out of the mutant phase due to my own misplays, yet I still managed a 2-minute solo. .3.4 was a shockingly difficult quest. All of the bosses were bad options to go up against, and it was honestly one of the fights that I had been the closest to dying to. 7.3 Kang is not a particular favourite of mine. I don't expect there to be any particular component which gives me trouble aside from potentially having too much power gain. If anything, hopefully the final and most difficult phase will be easier due to the additional power gain Serpent has. Unlike 7.3 Kang, Superior Kang is actually one of my favourite fights in MCOC. I have gone back to this fight many times, and I'm sure I won't face too many issues with this Serpent run. Nothing particularly special here, just going in for a regular takedown. With Superior Kang down, that marks the end of Act 7. Act 8 will begin to introduce more utility-based nodes, but thankfully they can still be powered through given the 6-lane choice. However, starting in 8.3 and onwards, the lanes per quest halves, giving me only 3 lanes to choose from. If those 3 lanes don't have an easy way out, I could be in for quite a bit of trouble. Scytalis, the first of the Act 8 bosses, and a pretty good fight at that. She is not as reliant on champion choice as some other bosses, but a good special damage dealer will go a long way. Bahamet is generally quite a long fight, but by taking the heal sponge path, it allows tanky champions to consistently heal back damage due to the amount of debuffs that get placed on you. Serpent most certainly falls under the category of tanky, so my main concern is just playing the fight without making dumb mistakes. There's not too much to say about Cerastes. He is explicitly weak to lots of unique buffs, so Serpent with Odin's is going to shred him. In quite the switch up, we're going from the easiest boss in Act 8 to the hardest. Glykhan is not a forgiving boss, and personally I have never gotten a solo on him. He's got plenty of ways to catch me off guard, so I'll have to properly focus up, especially for the final phase, where any hit I take will instantly kill me. At this point in the fight, I had been in here for almost 4 minutes with only half of phase 1 done. I knew this wasn't sustainable, and I knew exactly why I wasn't doing much damage. Glykhan locks my attack and critical rating to their base values, so Serpent's ramping damage wouldn't work here. However, it was at this point that I had a random recall to something I had heard many months ago.
But for most champions, the base special attack multiplier for special 1 is 100%, and for special 2 is 240%, meaning that if you're in a fight like Ares that eliminates basically all other sources of damage, the special 2 is more efficient per bar of power than the special 1. It's also better than the special 3 if you have any hope of landing a crit.
So, let's use a special 2. I now have to do all of phase 3 and the indestructible phase with no death immunity as backup. I cannot afford even a single mistake. Somehow I managed to clutch it up, which marks Act 8 complete. and if I thought Act 8 had some rough fights, I was not prepared for Act 9. I'll be honest, I completely forgot how to fight Orochi coming into this. A quick scan over her fight made it seem like I could be in for quite a bit of trouble, but it turns out most champions, including Serpent, should be able to do this fight by just keeping a consistent intercept pace. I was well aware that Lotan was not going to be an easy fight for Serpent, and I was confirming this fact. It took me many tries, each with a new point of knowledge learned and a bit more experience gained. I was writing notes to look to in order to prepare myself for each phase, and eventually, I had a promising run. I'm just going to quickly make a note on the node choice. For this fight, ideally I would have taken the Symbiote Supreme path, as that would have not activated any trapped nodes. Unfortunately, that path is so devastating for Serpent that I could just not power through it. That means I'm left with 2 trap nodes that I have to deal with. One is a node that makes Lotan gain 2 charges every time I gain a bar of power, obviously very detrimental when using Serpent, and the other is Encroaching Stun. So I went with Encroaching Stun. I had at least a few major mistakes occur during previous runs caused by getting stunned, so I'm opting to be pretty cautious with the timer. Mostly these issues occurred during phase 2, where I am currently, due to the poor positioning and fight requirements. In all honesty, I haven't actually done Dread Emperor Doom before. This is my first time in 9.3 as a matter of fact. This won't stop me from certifying that this is the toughest boss I'll be facing in this challenge. The rules stand firm however, and only Serpent can bring this to a close. But, try as I may, this was not a fight I could properly get my head around. It certainly doesn't help that I'm not using a good counter, but try after try I could not seem to best Dread Emperor Doom. Simply put, this was not a fight I could beat with Serpent. But, hang on, we can't just end this here. Let me quickly just reiterate the premise of this challenge. I said that I believed Serpent could solo all of Book 2 Itemless. I did not say I alone could do this. I said I would try, but that doesn't stop me from sourcing some help. So, I went with the nuclear option and asked someone no boss dares stands up against. MSD. A day later, he got back to me, and this was the result. just that. With a little bit of assistance from MSD, I can confidently say it is possible to complete all of Book 2 using only Serpent itemless. Before we close out this video, I just want to give some general remarks on this challenge. First of all, I actually think there would be more champions that can do this. A lot of story quests focus on specific utility to help the lane or guide you in some direction, but generally aren't 100% required. That being said, Serpent has got a lot of utility when you dissect his kit, and this proved it. Second of all, this was an incredibly fun challenge. I much prefer story quests over stuff like battle rounds, and I will always be looking to get more replayability out of story mode. I doubt I'll be doing this kind of challenge again, but maybe I'll look at just the story bosses if I do it again. Thank you very much for sticking around for almost an hour of Serpent. I do hope you've enjoyed this showcase, and I wish you the best of luck on your story mode endeavors. Take care everyone.